Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of game and interactive media design. Today, or right now, we're going to have a little video about photoshopping all of the maps to go onto this 3D model of this little guy named Pueble. So it took me about an hour to do all of this, so you're going to see this sped up, and I'm going to talk over it for a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into photoshopping. Alright, so I'm in Photoshop, and it's actually called Photopea, but I have two layers to start with, the brown underlayer and then just a layer of the UV template on top, and I'm basically copying and pasting from the original drawing that the student had, and so I can use it and try to figure out how to best, now draw it according to the UVs. So I'm kind of building up a couple layers of dark wood paint and light wood paint and medium wood paint. And in Photoshop I'm using a paintbrush that has a little bit of transparency. The opacity is decreased to about 40% maybe. It's got a soft edged brush, so it's not a hard edged brush, and then of course I'm painting various shades of brown on top of those three layers, and you can see that I'm trying to mimic what the student did. Okay. Next thing, I'm bringing eyes over as their own layer, and I thought I was going to draw the mouth, but I changed my mind, and I'm just going to copy and paste all those lines. In fact, I do this a few times. I think I'm going to use a paintbrush to paint the lines that the student did, but I end up just using what is it called? The Lasso tool, the Polygon Lasso tool, and copy and paste it, because I'm just not happy with the way this is working out. So there I go. There's my Lasso tool, and it's Polygon Lasso tool to copy and paste right from that and to there. Yeah, just making sure that looks right. And so now I'm taking the pot, it looks like, and now I'm kind of going back to 3D Studio Max just to see how that looks. And I'm painting the black lines onto the pot, just using a marquee selection. Now I'm going to go, and again, you see I've got a soft-edged brush. I'm trying to find the color of the orange, and I'm also using a slightly transparent brush. I'm kind of painting, I'm using a spray texture to kind of mimic that airbrush of the darker one, and I'm just going to copy and paste these little insignias where I want it. Yeah, I'm like, you know what, can I paint this? I'm not sure. I'm gonna paint those lines. Yeah. And that's straight. So and I think I used the pencil tool to draw that curved line, and then I just used a marquee selection and filled it with black. And then of course I copied that and moved it to the other side. Now again, some of this shading is, probably lighting effects in the drawing, but remember when we have a 3D model in a world, a lot of that lighting is going to be done in the lighting of the game. Okay, so now I'm just exporting that as a PNG to put on my model, and there it is. It's a good start looking at the back, seeing where the seams line up, and it's just, I think my seams are a little bit weird and wacky. I'm just gonna go ahead and paint all that. That's the rim, right? And now I'm gonna go and try to get this glazing on. If you were to have a terracotta pot like that, I am guessing that that is like a big gloopy glaze. And I'm gonna spend the next bit rotating and copying and rotating and trying to make sure that I can kind of not fake, but whatever. whatever. Now I'm playing around with, do I want to put an effect on that, like a stroke value on that? In Photoshop you can do that, have a stroke value. And so I'm copying and pasting the same thing over and over again. So the technique that the student did to paint the original image, she could have probably have painted it in Photoshop just as nicely. I'm kind of reconstructing that pot, the image of the pot, and how it's actually, how the colors are melding together. Now that was a smart object, so now I'm going back and I'm kind of filling in the top of that smart object. And going back, saving it, going back. I think I need to raise it up a little bit and paint higher. So I made that a little bit taller. Okay, I'm going to export that again. I always accidentally, by the way, I export my image accidentally with the UV template on it. I don't mean to, but it's kind of cool to see where your UVs are. And if you do that, that should mimic exactly where your edges are in your model there. I just took it off. I'm kind of looking to make sure I'm actually painting it to the right lines. That's all I'm doing. Okay, looking good. And you can see my layer panel over to the right. I am keeping lots of layers and probably layer groups as I go along. I'm going to start putting things into layer groups so I have like just the pot color, just the head color, just the feet. Eventually. I'm not doing it now, obviously. I gotta brighten all that stuff up. Ooh, why didn't it work? See, I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Once again, I want to paint that like painterly kind of texture onto those things. Yep, see, did it again. There we go. Now those are the little squat legs. And those are the little horns on the arm. Now comes the hard part. I think this is the hard part. Yeah, trying to figure out drawing these lines. So again, you can see me kind of experimenting with this. This is going to fail miserably. I hate the way it looks. So I'm going to end up just copying and pasting the lines from the students' original drawings. You'll see that in a little bit. But I'm just not happy with what I'm doing. And this is a good lesson for you guys. Like, don't just try something once and say, well, it didn't work, so I didn't like it. No, I'm trying this. Again, I haven't modeled this dude before, so this is just a fun exercise for me. And I haven't, painted this before. Again, fun exercise to kind of figure out someone else's stuff. There I go. I'm going to make layer groups now and put all of the layers into its own group. So I made a pot layer group, and you can see I did that. Reference image layer group, have all my images in there. Again, that's just a reference image to try to figure out how can I make this look better. It's weird because I remember exactly what I was watching when I was doing this. In the beginning of this video, I was watching a John Denver documentary by accident, and it was really good. And now I'm watching that show, God Friended Me. I was when I was modeling this. It's weird how your brain does that. Again, I'm not gonna am I gonna keep these? I think I keep these. I end up keeping those drawings, but yeah. Do I love it? Not really. I'd change it. Because, yeah, figuring out which lines to draw. And then, of course, make it a little transparent so it's not overtly in your face. Yeah, I realized, oh, that's a seam. I don't want to do that. Now there I'm drawing a little bit of to almost simulate. I'm gonna be simulating shadowy stuff there because I think I wanted like yeah. And there I'm just duplicating the one arm. It's not perfect, not perfectly the same. I don't know why. No, I do know why. Oh, look at that. So what I'm gonna do there is actually align the verts on either side. So I'm now instead of because the image itself actually should sync up pretty well. There I'm just really making sure. So now I'm taking like from the left side and putting up to the right side. That was kind of annoying to do that. I'm going into the actual smart object and blending it. And now I'm gonna stretch it. Every time you see a new Google tab open up, it's because I accidentally hit new tab. There we go. And once I do that, should it be synced up? Yay. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Oh, that's right. I am going to render out a shadows map. You know how to do that. It's just render to texture, shadow map. I don't think there's much shadow. And here I'm going to be making all of my other maps. Let's see. This is going to be my... This might be my metals map. If that's going to be black, that's going to be... Let's see what I turn this into. Oh, roughness map. Okay, so this is my, yeah, that's my roughness map. Yep. So I wanted that glaze to be kind of shiny. And so I'm kind of using, again, paint on. If you've ever made a pot before, you know when your glaze runs down like that, it collects at the very ends of those tips. And it's a little bit shinier there because there's so much glass. Glaze is glass, by the way. It's liquid glass. When it gets hot and then it runs down and then it warms up. That is my photoshopped normals map. Look at that. Pretty cool. And then, of course, I wanted that clay texture there. What am I doing there? Oh, I'm trying to blend in that, what I do there for the glaze. And so I'm kind of not erasing it, but I am, what is that? Putting a mask on it. And so what I'm trying to do here is make that normals map using the 3D filter normals on a single layer. I'm doing it a whole bunch of times and checking it. Oops, that made my model in Unreal Engine darken up all over the place on the face because it's actually the normals map is screwed up right there. You see that line? So what I had to do is just make sure that everything is filled in properly and baked it down or condensed it down. It looks like I'm still having issues. There we go. That should work. And I had to re-import it. It looks like you know, that was way too much. So I'm kind of doing it over again. Trying to lighten it. You see I've got normals and then normals copy, and then I think I might have normals copy too, because, you know, I really like to keep multiple files, multiple things